My name's Abigail Bergstrom and I own the literary agency and publishing consultancy Bergstrom Studio. My job involves consulting with writers, representing writers and managing their literary careers, strategizing, and working with writers in many different creative capacities. I didn't always want to work in the book industry. I did an English literature degree and I loved reading, I knew that much, but I definitely didn't know what I wanted to do for quite some time. But in the end, I think it just circled back to the fact that I love writing, I love books, I love the way that words can make you feel, and that really led me down the path into the book industry. The way that my career got started in the book industry was internships, which was a really hard time because I didn't have anywhere to live in London, so I was staying on friends' sofas and trying to make it work. I tried and tried to get a job in the book industry. I couldn't, I kept getting turned down, and I almost gave up. But then I realised that the book industry was really interested in digital media at the time. Ebooks were taking off, publishers were learning about the new technology, how readers were engaging with books differently. And so I went and got a job at a digital first advertising agency to learn about digital media. And that really was the sort of loophole or the way that I made publishing interested in me as a candidate, because it was a point of difference that I had knowledge in something that they were actively wanting to grow their business in. I started my career in the publicity department of Simon & Schuster, and then 6 months later applied for an editorial assistant role. I was there for about 5 years, and then after that I got headhunted by a management company called Gleam Futures to set up and build a literary agency for them. So I moved from editorial over to agenting. I did that for about 5 years, worked with lots of different writers on their careers, and then about 2 years ago I set up Bergstrom Studio, where I effectively edit, agent, do a bit of writing, and all of those different things that I enjoy, all of the different capacities in which I want to work with writers, I can do in one place, which for me is really fulfilling. The most exciting thing about my job is having a submission come into my inbox. So it could be an idea for a non-fiction book, or it could be an idea for a novel, it could be a fully written novel, and to read something and really love it and feel moved by it or excited by it, or to feel that it's doing something different that no other book that you've read has done, is incredibly fulfilling. I really love working with writers, and some of my authors I've been working with now for over a decade, and I think those long-term professional relationships I find incredibly fulfilling, and watching how somebody can evolve and grow and develop as a writer. So that's certainly one of the best things about the job. I think some of the challenges around publishing is definitely competing with Netflix, theatre, music, concerts. You know, the idea of sitting down and persuading somebody to spend their precious time with a book is becoming more and more increasingly difficult. I think books are having to work a lot harder to stand out and capture people's attention. But the thing about books is that they still can do that, and one story can capture the imagination of an entire generation, and everybody wants to read it and everyone's talking about it. And it seems to be defying technology and advances. And so, yeah, I think the challenge is really just being aware of how technology is going to change the way that people read and experience storytelling.
What might surprise people about your job?
I think what might surprise people about my job is that I don't just do one thing. So I'm not just a book editor, I'm not just a literary agent, and I'm not just an author. I do all three of those things, and every day my job involves a little bit of agenting, some editing, sometimes some writing. So it really is varied, and I feel that I'm able to kind of pull on my different strengths and lean into the different tasks and activities that I enjoy doing most. I think people sometimes think within the book industry you have to settle on one thing, but you certainly don't. And there's so many different doors and avenues and opportunities. And eventually, I think you can build the career that you want to have, and it can look exactly as you want it to look. I think the skills that have helped me the most with my work are confidence, and I think also having a taste. You need to procure your own taste when it comes to the sort of writers that you like, the books that you admire, and the sort of writing that you want to back, represent, get behind. And I think cultivating that can sometimes take some time. It certainly took me some time. But in the end, when you have a definitive, strong, curated taste and you're confident in it, I think that can really help you get ahead and set yourself apart from other people. When I'm hiring people for my team, I'm definitely looking for someone who is a bit different, who definitely doesn't necessarily meet the cookie cutter mold, the type of person that would work in publishing. I'm looking for somebody that has passions, interests, and hobbies outside of and alongside the job that they're doing. And I want someone who's entrepreneurial, somebody who wants to carve and cut out a career that's unique to them, that will work and suit them, and someone that's going to bring ideas to the business about different ways that we can work with writers, be it, setting up a retreat or doing writing courses. I think there's so much opportunity within Bergstrom Studio that I'm looking for somebody who wants to be able to maximize that and bring their own ideas to the table. The advice that I would give to anyone wanting to start their career in the book industry would be keep knocking on those doors. It's hard. I definitely had a lot of them shut in my face for a long time, but if you keep knocking, eventually one will open. I also think just be aware of the new AI conversations around different technologies, how audiobook are kind of taking up more space in the market. I think the way that we're going to read books and the way that we're going to interact with stories is going to change, and we're going to rely on people entering the business and the industry to lead the way, be ahead of the curve, and take the reins on that. And I also always say, you might have in mind the job that you want to do, but don't just apply for those roles, because it really is just about getting your foot in the door. I got my foot in the door in the publicity department, which wasn't my dream job, but it definitely led to me being able to obtain that. So be open-minded about what sort of role you might be open to doing.